So Farouk, I think you have access to my channel. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that.
So Farouk, I think you have access to my channel. Is that correct? Because I believe you've gone in before to monitor the YouTube.
Yeah. So I don't have the access, but I can go right there and just monitor. You want me to monitor the video, right? The messages and everything.
Yes, and I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and copy
Sure.
and paste the link for you. And actually, I'll just paste it here for everyone in case you want to go to YouTube. All right, so we're live. We're going to go ahead and get started. Farouk, if you can also just let people into the meeting. So you can go back and forth between monitoring the YouTube and monitoring this meeting, because I'm sure that some people will be joining a little later. All right. Okay, great. So this will all be recorded. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're talking about something that people may not necessarily think about a lot, but it can have a huge impact on your ability to improve not only your speech, that's just one slice of the pie, but your entire life. And so that might be one of the reasons why there's not a whole lot of people here, because they're like, oh, well, I don't really need that, or I don't think about it. But that's probably one of the main reasons why people are not progressing as much and as quickly as they would like. So we're going to talk about how all of us, everyone does this. It doesn't really matter who, but all of us, from time to time, sabotage ourselves. We sabotage our progress in our, or with our speech, in our relationships, and other areas of our life. And we do that uh, with our thoughts and our beliefs. So let's first talk about what's the definition of sabotage. So what do we mean when we say sabotage? So let's kind of define that. The word sabotage actually means to purposely disrupt or destroy or interrupt the process or the functioning of something, right? To purposely interrupt, destroy, or disrupt the functioning of something. And the etymology of this comes from saboteur, which means like a wooden shoe. So way back many, many years ago, uh, they used to wear wooden shoes, and factory workers would take their wooden shoes and throw them into the machinery to disrupt the machinery, to stop it, in order to rebel against the owners for working conditions or whatever. So that's the etymology, that's the origins of this word sabotage, right? Take off their shoes and throw it into the machinery because they wanted the machinery to stop so that they could not continue to work. All right. Now, that's very interesting because then you might think, well, do I purposely destroy, disrupt, or interrupt my the process of improving myself? Again, remember, this can apply to anything: relationships, speech, personal development, anything. And also, let me just make sure that I am recording this. Okay. So you may be thinking, well, I don't purposely try to stop myself from improving, right? Well, you may not do it consciously, or you may not do things with the goal of destroying or disrupting or interrupting, but your brain does, and it doesn't do it to hurt you. So I need to explain this so that you can understand and you can see why this happens. And then we're just going to talk about a couple of things that you can do to prevent this from happening. Because again, we all do it. Everyone does. No one can say they've never done it. All right. So why does your brain sabotage you? Well, one of the reasons is something that we call homeostasis. Homeostasis is a condition, right, that you and I find ourselves in, and it means that we're comfortable. So when we're in a state of homeostasis, it means that we're comfortable, right? And the brain loves for us to be comfortable. It loves for us to be used to something. Why? Well, one of the reasons is it doesn't have to work as hard, right? So our brain is very conservative. And what it does is it works very hard to make sure that it doesn't have to work harder than it needs to. It doesn't have to use more energy than it needs to. So it helps us to develop patterns and habits, patterns of behaviors and habits. And when it does this, it puts us in a state, if you will, of automaticity where things are happening automatically. You don't have to think about it. You walk, you tie your shoes, you drive, you speak the languages that you speak. You're familiarity, right? You're familiar with certain things and certain people. So you automatically go and you know which coffee you want, and so forth and so on, right? So this is your brain, and this is kind of stored. Most of this happens in the area called our basal ganglia, right? This little area, basal ganglia. So think of it like a gang of nerves that manage habits. It says, okay, we need to do this. We need to learn how to do this. We need to do this easy. So then what happens is whenever we try to do something different, something that challenges our patterns or habits, our brain resists, often rejects that because it's going to require your brain to now use more effort and energy to figure out how do we respond, how do we react, how do we think, how do we feel, how do we speak in this new situation. Doesn't want to do that and wants to conserve energy. All right. And there are certain things that we have to do, that we have to think about consciously in the moment. So it likes to reserve its energy to do those things. The other things, if it doesn't have to reserve energy, it won't. So when we talk about sabotaging behaviors, we're talking about our brain resisting something new. So whenever you want to improve your speech or change the way you speak, which requires you to also change your identity, who you see yourself as. And we'll talk about this in just a moment. How you see yourself, how you speak, how you've been speaking with certain people in certain situations. Whenever you try to change that, your brain's going to resist that. Okay, it's going to resist it because it's something that's new. And anything that you do new, even though it's good for you, your brain resists it for the most part because it requires more energy to turn that into a pattern so it doesn't have to think about that particular behavior or thought or activity. So I hope that that makes sense. Now, let's talk about what some of the sabotage or sabotaging behaviors, thoughts, and beliefs are. And the reason I'm actually doing this webinar is because I was meeting with a client. I was meeting with a client, and he said to me, something very profound that I've heard myself say in the past. He said, I've heard myself saying I don't deserve to speak smoothly. Like, as he experienced, because what Pro 90D does is think of it like a bridge, is it helps you go from stuttering or stammering or struggling with your speech, and it leapfrogs you over, or it bridges you over to speaking smoothly through our free flow speaking exercise, through modeling, breathing, and so forth. And so when you find yourself speaking smoothly, when you experience yourself speaking smoothly, your brain says, wait a minute, this isn't me. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be speaking smoothly. This is not the way I'm supposed to be speaking. Now, some of you will have heard yourself say this. You'll be like, wow, yeah, I've heard myself actually say, whoa, this isn't me. Or some of you may have heard yourself say, you know what, I'm not supposed to be speaking this way. I'm not supposed to be speaking smoothly, right? Some of you may have even, if you go deeper, have felt like, I don't deserve to speak smooth for whatever reason. I just don't deserve it. Okay. So, and this can be a function of our self-esteem, our self-worth, our self-concept, our self-image, how we see ourselves, who we believe ourselves to be. We get into a pattern of thinking where I don't deserve this. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. I shouldn't be speaking this way. And I'll just give you a very, very basic example. You're speaking smoothly, and all of a sudden, your brain says, whoa, wait a minute, I'm speaking smoothly. And then once you start to think about the fact that you're speaking smoothly, you interrupt that smooth speaking pattern. Has that ever happened to you? Right? Where you're doing well, and then you're like, and then all of a sudden you almost kind of wake up and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm speaking smoothly. And then you start to get stuck again. Well, that's a result of this kind of thinking. So you literally, and in many ways unintentionally, sabotage yourself. You sabotage that smooth functioning. Think about the factory. The factory is just going along smoothly, and you sabotage that behavior with the wooden shoe that we talked about earlier. Okay. So then the sabotaging thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors can arise anytime, anywhere, at any time. Let's just talk a little bit more about what some of those thoughts are. Some of the thoughts are, this is not me. I don't deserve this. Why am I able to speak smoothly? Or this is not going to continue, right? How many of you have ever said that to yourself? Yeah, it's working now, but it's not going to continue, right? Or it's not going to keep going. It's not going to keep happening. Good stuff like this doesn't happen to me. Have you ever thought or felt that? So those are some of the thoughts. What are some sabotaging behaviors? Well, avoidance. When we avoid situations, we are actually preventing ourselves from improving. Well, let's go back a little further. When we avoid practicing, if you avoid practicing, you're saying, well, I don't really feel like practicing, or I don't want to practice because it's probably not going to work anyway, or I'm going to be wasting my time if I practice speaking smoothly, if I practice breathing, if I practice free flow speaking, if I practice modeling. It's going to be a waste of time. Let's go back a little further. Let's talk about investing in a program, whatever it costs, $5, $10, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I'm not going to invest in that because it's going to be a waste of money, right? A waste of money. It's not going to work anyway. I'm not going to do the work. Or if I do the work, I might see some results, but not the results I want. Or I might see some results, might get great results before a short period of time. So our brain is saying these things to us. Why? Because there's a part of us that says, well, we don't deserve that. And if we get it, it's not going to last. If we get it, it's not really going to work, or it's not going to work the way that I want. All right. Does that make sense? So you're probably not consciously sabotaging yourself, but your brain is doing it because it's resisting change. Now, what about beliefs? Well, we've kind of been talking about that. Beliefs generally are experienced in an unconscious or subconscious realm or level. We experience it unconsciously or subconsciously, but we experience the results or the effects of beliefs. So if we believe that we are stutterers, I'm just using stuttering as an example. It could be anything, right? Um, if you believe this, if you believe that you are a stutterer and this is who you are, and it's something that's wired into your brain, it's genetic. You can't get rid of it, you can't stop it. If you believe that, then that's something that's unconscious, is working beneath the surface. And so anything and everything that you do, your brain will sabotage you. It will cause you to avoid trying to work on your speech, improving your speech, getting out and speaking with people. That's back way up. Get investing in programs that can help your speech. I've invested in lots and lots of programs and books. Many of them have been great, and some of them have been crap, right? But it's a part of the process. So your brain will be like, don't invest in that. Don't do that because it's not going to work. But that's your brain uh, kind of embodying and expressing a belief that this is not something that's for you. It's not something that's going to work. It is not something that is worth your time and your money. Does this make sense? So when this happens, the behavior, which is a result of the belief, is no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try that. I've tried that already and it doesn't work. No, I'm going to avoid this meeting. I'm not going to make this phone call. I'm not going to speak up right now. I'm not going to do these practices, right? So there's the underlying beliefs that then drive your behaviors, that drive your thoughts and drive your behaviors. Not going to do that, not going to go here, not going to speak up, not going to practice. All right. This is absolutely true. You can go out and you can do your research, and you're going to find everything that I'm saying is 100% true, not just for speech, but for every area of our life. And all of us have experienced this at some point, and we will continue to experience it, fortunately and unfortunately, in different areas of our life. It's just a part of our human nature and how things work. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I kind of want to pause here and just see what we got here. I just want to ask you guys a question or two, and this includes you, Farouk, because I know that you and I have talked about some things, and you've been coaching. Yvonne is here. Thank you, Joanne. Uh, from your own experience, what are some of the sabotaging behaviors or thoughts that you've had? So I'd love for you, in fact, because we're on Zoom, you can actually pop in here and share either audio and video, or you can type. Would love if you pop in on audio or video. What are some of the sabotaging thoughts and behaviors you've had? Remember, this is going to be extremely helpful for those who are watching, because guess what? They've had some of the same thoughts and feelings and behaviors that you've had. So when people understand that, hey, wow, there's somebody else out there that's thought the same way, that's felt the same way as me, they feel better. They feel better about themselves. They feel better about where they are, and they feel better about actually getting help and improving because they know I'm not the only one. So I'd love for either any of you and all of you to kind of chime in, and you can turn on your audio or your audio and video to share with me. I'm just going to pause for a couple of minutes. So the question is, what are some of the sabotaging thoughts, beliefs that maybe you're aware of, and behaviors? And once we're done with this, we're going to move into just one or two things that you can do to counteract that. Okay, so Farouk, Joanne, Yvonne is a member actually of our virtual Speech Masters Club, which we'll talk just a little bit about a little later because it's a great opportunity for you to break through, to bust out of some of the sabotaging behaviors that's been holding you back. And she's just fantastic. All right, so I'm going to pause here. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Joanne, that I'm going to lose my train of thought and lose my composure by speaking too fast. Therefore, I avoid speaking up. Aha. So this is so this is a thought that you have. Now, let me ask you, Joanne, is this a thought that you just had once? Or is this a thought that you often have? And when do you have these thoughts? Do you have them when you're by yourself, or do you have them in other speaking situations? Do you have you had it just once, or do you have it often? Share that with me. How about you, Farouk and Yvonne? All right, I'm going to get stuck and won't be able to say what I want to say and freeze. Aha. Yvonne, speaking in front of groups all the time. All the time, right? So, okay. So Joanne said, these are thoughts that she has all the time whenever she's speaking in front of groups. This is very, very common. This is not just her. Millions of people have these thoughts, right? Of course, for you can say it on video. Yep, you can pop in. So speaking in front of groups all the time. So many people have this. So, Joanne, I want to encourage you to join our virtual Speech Masters Club. I'm going to do a little quick commercial. It is super affordable. It's $120 for 6 months. That's you get 6 months access. We do this every week on Saturdays. And we spend 90 minutes with you, sometime a little more. Yvonne is there every single week, and it is fantastic. And you get access to our course and everything. So you absolutely can't beat that. $120. You can spend that one night going out. So I'm going to do that commercial for you and say that if you feel this way, this is a place for you to come to literally bust through that and to practice in a safe community and get feedback from us. Farouk and I are almost always there, both of us. Sometimes he may have to go someplace or I may have to go someplace, but we're almost always there every week. So, great. And we're going to address that. All right. So, in fact, Farouk, if you can, or I'll do it while you're speaking, I'll put a link in the chat for that. And we also want to put that on YouTube. So I'll let you do that afterwards. Yvonne, I'm going to get stuck and won't be able to say what I want to say. So you think that, and so what do you do? In fact, let me ask you, Yvonne, because you're thinking that I'm going to get stuck and I won't be able to say what I want to say, what do you do or not do when you think that? Type that in, or again, you can pop on the video if you want. When you start to think that, what do you do or not do? Type that in. What do you think you do or not do? And while she's typing that in, go ahead, Farouk.
Yeah. So just trying to paste the link.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Mhm.
All right. So speaking about these thoughts, there have surely been a lot for me. But speaking about in terms of speech as well, and generally in terms of general life as well, a thought that has been with me or that was with me for the most part was that I'm a very anxious person. And this thought used to always stick in my mind with regards to speaking, with regards to going out, meeting people, with regards to any work that I have to do. So there was a thought always in my mind. I looked at myself like this: I'm an anxious person. I'm an anxious person. And while I was working on my speech with the pronouncatory speech system, I just realized that I am working on my speech, but at the back of my mind, I always say that I'm a very anxious person. I'm always anxious in terms of speech as well and in terms of general life as well. And believe it or not, it starts to show up in your life. The more you believe yourself to be a certain way, it starts to show up in your life. Same way, some people say that while they're working on their speech, that I am a very fast speaker. I generally speak very fast. Now, you might be a fast speaker, but having to say that over and over again, even when you're not speaking, you're just saying it to yourself that I'm generally a very fast speaker, and it would be very hard for me to slow down my speech, or I'm a very fast speaker. It does start to show up in your life. So you're working on your speech, you're doing everything that you want to do, but there's one thought of how you look at yourself that I'm an anxious person, I'm a fast speaker. You have to make sure that you work on that. And speaking about thoughts, not about what we have to do right now. So speaking about those thoughts, those were the main thoughts for me. You're on mute, Mike.
Okay. So Yvonne says, I remind myself to do the breathing that we've taught and to say the affirmations. I don't have to rush. I can take my time and say what I want to say. I'm an excellent speaker. So what Yvonne does is she continues to remind herself of this. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that in just a second as we talk about the solution or some solutions, some actions that you can take to kind of turn this thing around. Thank you, Yvonne. And again, I work with Yvonne. I don't know if she joined our self-study first. You can let me know, Yvonne. But I worked with her in private coaching. She's from the UK, an administrative assistant. And when we started working together, sometimes she could be quite severe in getting her words out. And guess what? She wins our improvised presentations, our planned presentations. Planned presentation is 5 minutes where you actually get to plan it. So you apply for it, and which means you let us know, I'm going to do a planned presentation, and you get to work on it. Each week, we kind of have some different themes we're going to, and we also have something called improvised presentations. These are like impromptu. So on the spot, you have to do a presentation for 3 minutes, and then after that, you answer questions. And she wins almost every week. So we need some people to come in to beat her because she's now speaking smoother, right? Doesn't mean that she never gets stuck. We all get stuck. But she speaks smoother and she has an amazing structure. She's smiling. She's amazing. So she went from kind of getting stuck and pushing out words like literally stuttering and stammering when I worked with her a while back, not that long ago, to winning first place almost every week. And she just shared with us one of the things that she does to help her do that. So trust me, you're going to have some thoughts like, oh, yeah, that's fake. I didn't ask her to be here today. She just came in and joined the webinar today. So this is not something that we plan, and what she's saying is not something that we plan. What we're talking about is something that you can achieve also, no matter where you are. If you speak too fast, if you have these sabotaging thoughts or beliefs, or if you're a severe stutterer, it doesn't matter. This process works, and it doesn't just work for your speech, but it can work in every other area of your life. You just have to take the principles and apply it to the other area of your life. Okay, so let's talk now about some actions that you can take, some steps, some actions that you can take to counteract these sabotaging behaviors. So the first thing that I want to share with you is, because sabotage is something historically that people consciously did, right? Remember, the etymology saboter, Saboter, comes from the wooden shoe, people taking their wooden shoes and throwing it into the machinery, into the gears, to stop the process, to stop the functioning of the factory, to rebel against the owners for working conditions or for whatever. So you're thinking, when I have these thoughts, have these beliefs, when I perform these behaviors, am I consciously trying to hurt myself, trying to stop myself from doing something? Well, most of the time, no, you're not consciously doing it. Sometimes people do consciously do things to sabotage themselves. Some people do things consciously to sabotage others, absolutely. But most of the time, we're not consciously trying to hurt ourselves. But we do unconsciously and or through our beliefs do things on a daily basis. Remember, um, Joanne said she thinks this all the time. Every time she has to get up, speak with a group, these thoughts go through her mind, right? And so what I want you to know is that it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So it's not blaming you. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility, because there's something that you can do about it. So what can you do about it? First, the first thing that you and I have to do is to become aware, right? We have to become aware of the fact that these beliefs or these thoughts, these behaviors exist. Now, you're probably already aware of the effects, right? Where you're like, okay, I'm thinking these things. I'm constantly negatively anticipating. I'm constantly worrying. I'm constantly avoiding. Those are the effects of these sabotaging thoughts and beliefs, right? That you are thinking, feeling, avoiding. But that's not the core. Right? It's not the reason, it's the effects. So first, we have to become aware that this thing is even happening, and it's happening beneath the surface. So you're aware of the tip of the iceberg, what's happening above the surface. Sometimes we're not even aware of that, but often we are. So then the next thing that we have to do is to become aware of what's happening beneath the surface. And this often happens from us reading, right? Just reading books, uh, listening to audio, which is my favorite, listening to audio, and hearing people talk about our beliefs and our identity and our behaviors and attitudes and all these things, right? You read, you listen, you're like, wow, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that. Uh, Participating in groups where you hear other people talking, ooh, yes, that's what I think. That's how I feel also. Getting counseling, therapy, coaching, okay, all of these things. You and I don't know what we don't know, right? We just don't know some of the things that are in our blind spots, our blind areas. We simply don't know that it's there. So sometimes we need an expert or a friend or someone to say, oh, hey, uh, this is what I see you doing, or this is how I see you behaving, or this is what I've felt. This is how I've behaved. And you go, yes, I can identify with that. So getting help from an individual can be extremely helpful for us to become more aware. So let me just put that down. Aware, and we can even add awareness, right? So we have to become aware, not just of the effects, okay, not just of the effects, but also of the source. So our thoughts, these are beliefs, these are patterns, right? Now, after awareness, remember we said that once we become aware, we can seek help, right? Through groups, through courses, through videos, through audios, through coaching, right? Through things like the Virtual Speech Masters Club. Will raise your awareness of things. What's the next step? Or what's something else that you can do? Well, it's very much related to awareness, but it's become more mindful. Now, let me ask you guys this, because I'm sure that you're aware. I'm going to ask all of you who are here, what does it mean to be mindful of something? Go ahead and type that in or share. Okay, Joanne, you're going to have to be leaving in just a couple of minutes. Okay, very good. Joanne, we'll be sending you the replay of this, so be sure that you watch it. Thank you so much for joining. And you said that this has been very informative for you. In your meeting, remember your self-talk. Remember what you're saying to yourself. Switch that over to thinking about how you're going to add value to that meeting. I'm just doing a little bit of coaching real quick here. When you go to that meeting, instead of thinking the things that you usually think, just think about, how do I want to add value? How do I want to say something that's going to help people? Right? That's something that you can say to yourself. Something that I want you to do physically is breathe. Breathe more frequently and more deeply. Breathing relaxes your body, lowers your heart rate, and keeps your mind clear. So breathe more through your nose, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Breathe deeper and breathe more frequently, and slow your speech down. Remember, you're going to have to remind yourself to do this the entire meeting. Breathe and slow your speech down. Those two things alone will allow you, and don't worry about how your body's reacting. Your heart may be beating, you may feel anxious or nervous, excited or whatever. Don't worry about that. You can still perform well by breathing more frequently and deeper and slowing your speech down. Trust me, this absolutely works. Okay. All right. So back to what we were saying. Yvonne, being present in the moment, being present in the moment. So my question was, what does it mean to become more mindful? And Yvonne said, it means to be present in the moment, to be more present in the moment. Farouk, being mindful could mean becoming aware of the present moment and what's happening right now. Right. So I remember when I spent some time in India, spent 2 months in India, 2 years consecutively, 1 month, 1 year, another month, another year. And my my mentor, who also hired me to coach his son, who's now a doctor, is doing very well, and they're the ones who actually helped me start this whole thing 12 years ago. He said sometimes our minds are just very busy, just a lot of stuff going on. And we have to quiet the mind. So now I'm going to give you kind of something concrete that you can do. And there's a lot of research, there's a lot of programs and audios and videos and practices for mindfulness. So go out there and get them, find the ones that are best for you. But I want you to start practicing being more mindful, quieting your mind down. And this can be as simple as spending a certain amount of time each day. 2 minutes. You can start with 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Focusing on your breath, on your breathing. There's different exercises that you can do. 777, 444, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You practice, we use the 777. Breathing in through your nose for a count of 7, holding it for a count of 7, out through your mouth for a count of 7. And just practice focusing, listening to, hearing, feeling your breath. You can do a 7-7 again, or whatever number you want. Breathe in for a count of 7, right? For a count of 7, and breathe out for a count of 7. And just listen to your breathing. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to get distracted. This is very natural. Don't fight it. You're going to start thinking about what's going on around you, what you have to do today, what happened yesterday, whatever. And just gently bring your mind back to what? Your breathing. Back to your breathing. Back to your breathing. Okay? And do that for as long as you can. So let's just say you said 5 minutes. You're just going to focus on your breathing. So the breathing is going to relax you down, but also it's going to be a focal point, right? So that you can become more aware and so that you have more control over what you're thinking about in the present moment. Now, here's something else you can do. You can pick a sense, or you can go through multiple of your senses, and you can just focus on what you're hearing around you. I'm hearing this, I'm hearing birds, I'm hearing cars, I'm hearing people. What am I seeing? I'm seeing my cup, I'm seeing my computer, I'm seeing this. What am I smelling? Well, I'm a little congested right now. Okay, so what am I tasting? Well, I'm tasting coffee, right? I'm not actually drinking coffee, but so you can go through your senses. What am I feeling? Where are my hands right now? So you go through your senses and you focus on what you're experiencing in the present moment. And you do this for a certain number of minutes every day. How does this help you? So, Yvonne and Farouk, how do you think practicing, very, very basic, focusing on your breathing and or focusing on your senses, what you're experiencing in them, how do you think that helps you? Share that with me. And Farouk, you can feel free to come on video. Yvonne, again, you can feel free to come on video or audio if you like. In fact, I'd love, Yvonne, if you could at least come on audio and share. This will be a challenge for you. But go ahead, Farouk.
Yeah, sure. So, about how it would be helpful. In fact, that is all what we are doing inside the system. We are trying to shift our focus towards something that is helpful for us. So, while speaking, some people are so much focused on the fears. I hope I don't get stuck and everything. And that focus makes them get stuck. That focus makes them have a hard time with speaking. So, what you have to especially work on in order to work on your speech, you need to work on your focus. You need to shift it towards, like Michael just mentioned, breathing and slowing down, towards modeling, towards using your new speaking style. And the first few times, shifting this focus is not that easy. You have to consciously and continuously do that. So you would focus on that thing, and your mind would bring your focus back to the phrase. Then you would focus on it again. Your mind would bring your focus back to the phrase. So you would have to keep doing that for a while until it starts becoming more and more natural. Likewise, if you do a certain kind of meditation, you're having yourself sit and consciously focus on something that your brain does not want you to focus on, because your brain wants you to focus on your thoughts. What happened yesterday? What's going to happen? Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. And you would realize and notice that when you would be doing that meditation, let's say you're doing a breathing meditation, you are focusing on your breath, and your mind would start to shift the focus towards something else. Oh, work. Oh, this. Oh, that. I have to do this. I have to do that. And then you would need to focus back on your breath. And by focusing on your breath, for example, just like Michael mentioned, focusing on its sound, focusing on how is that feeling in your nose. And as the breath is going inwards and going outwards, you would consciously try to focus on that, and your brain would try to focus on every other thing. At the start, it might be hard for you to do it, but the more you keep doing that, it moves like this. Your focus on your breath or your senses, it starts to increase and your thoughts start to decrease. They might not go away completely, but your focus on your thoughts start to decrease. So meditation and stuff like this, it's helping you for a better focus. You would learn how to focus better. And if you can learn that skill right there, it would be extremely helpful for you during speaking, because that is exactly what you would have to do. You would need to focus on what you want, what you have to do, and your brain would be shifting it towards something else. Then you would bring it back again, something else, back again. Same like you're doing while doing any senses or doing any meditation. It's an extremely helpful tool to not just help you with your speech, but with your entire life. And one more thing about breathing. Breathing, biologically, it activates your vagus nerve. So not only it is helping you with your focus, but it's activating the vagus nerve that is associated with relaxation, that is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system. So the more you're activating that, you would be in a much more relaxed mode, and that would help you to speak better as well. So there are various advantages to do it.
Thank you, Farouk. Thank you, Farouk. So, exactly. This is just a very, very basic exercise. They're far more complex. And when I say complex, I don't mean that in a negative way, but if you want to go deeper into mindfulness training, meditation, breathing, you can do that. Yvonne, did you have something? Because you've actually done some workshops for us in our speech club on things related to this, I believe. Did you want to share something with us or share your thoughts with us about the breathing, mindfulness, or anything related to this, or even your own experiences? I think you have your audio on, so go ahead.
Yes, so in terms of being mindful, so by focusing on my breathing, what happens then is that I am less focused or distracted on the way that I am speaking, and I then have more control whilst I am speaking. And
Exactly.
to continually have the affirmations in the back of my mind whilst I am speaking.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. One of the exercises that we developed some years ago is called the free flow speaking exercise. And I've only seen one person not be able to do it, and that's just because they wouldn't let themselves do it. Maybe one or two people out of thousands. And what we find is that no matter how much you struggle with your speech, everyone, when they shift their focus to maintaining constant airflow, is able to speak smoothly, no matter how choppy their speech is, how severely they stutter. When they do the free flow speaking exercise, they either immediately or eventually are able to speak smoothly. And so it surprises them that they're like, wow, if I shift my focus, like Yvonne said, to just to my breathing, to my breath, I'm using the word airflow, I'm able to speak smoothly. Wow. And then they do speak smoothly. So you are capable of doing this. So now, the first thing is you have to become more aware, and this is an intention. Like you literally have to tell yourself, hey, I need to be more aware of what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. Resistance. If I go to raise my hand in the meeting to say something, what happens? What do I say to myself? What do I think? How do I feel? That's raising your awareness in the moment. If someone says, I'd like for you to give an update or to lead a meeting, or there's a job opening, and you say, oh, no, I don't think I want to do that. Why? That's resistance. Why? Why did you resist that? Why did you think that? Why did you feel that? Right. So just, and then maybe jot that down and explore, why did I respond or react that way? Raising your awareness that something is going on. Because a lot of times we go through life and we react to stuff and we're not even aware that we are reacting or how we're reacting. So one of the first steps is to become aware, oh, when this happens, or when I'm presenting with this opportunity, or when I'm in this situation, I react this way. We become aware. First step. Second step is to become more mindful. And one thing that can help you is mindfulness training, where you learn to become more present. This is a huge word. You learn to become more present. And I kind of discovered this for myself several years ago. Even as a speech coach, sometimes I would wake up in the morning and I would anticipate, I would say, oh, I want to say this to my wife, but I feel like I might get a little stuck on this. And so I started practicing something that we call metacognition, that is thinking about thinking. Like, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking this way? How can I not think this? Right? So what I started to do is shift my thoughts away from thinking about my speech, thinking negatively about my speech, to waking up in the morning and thinking about, how can I serve my clients? What are the challenges that my clients have? And how can I address those challenges? So I simply and gently shifted my focus from my own speech to how I could help others with their speech. I already had kind of a system that I'd been working on to start. Now, you may not be involved in helping people with their speech, but you're involved in other things. You have your family, you have your job, you have your career, you have goals, right? So you can think about your goals. Brian Tracy said, very successful people think about their goals all the time. So think about what you want, not what you don't want. Think about what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. So when I shifted my focus to something that I wanted to do, to how I wanted to help people, I found that I stopped thinking negatively about my speech. And once I did that, automatically I stopped negatively anticipating. I stopped thinking about, oh, I feel like I'm going to get stuck. I might get stuck on this word, because my thinking had shifted, right? Because I was, in a sense, more in the present moment in a positive way. So when we talk about being present, there's two things, and I'm going to give you a very specific example. Let's just say you're in a meeting, and I found that I can be present in a couple of ways, right? One way is to simply empty my mind and absorb what's going on, who's talking, what they're saying, I can ask myself questions about that person, about what they're talking about. I can just say, well, I wonder, wow, they're a great speaker. Or, ooh, listen to how they speak. They're using a lot of filler words. Or, okay, so this person said this. Well, let me think about that. That's very interesting. Someone's introducing themselves. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder, right? It's just kind of being present and absorbing what's going on around you. Or if I'm sitting out someplace in a restaurant, looking around, not thinking about what they're thinking of me, just observing people. Wow, look at what that person's wearing. Okay, look at what's happening over there. Not thinking about my own speech. Okay, so that's one way. If I'm in a meeting, I may think about or absorb what's going on, but I also may think about if I have to speak, okay, well, I'd like to talk about this, this, and that. And then I come back to the present moment. So it's okay to periodically, intermittently think about, I need to talk about this, this, and that. I'd like to say this, that, and this, right? But then come back to the present moment. Don't stay there, but it's okay and it's very natural to do that. But I'm still thinking about what I want to say and not the possibility of getting stuck, right? So it's all positive in the present moment, periodically thinking about what I want to say. Okay. So this is what I would do. This is what I have done in meetings. So learning to be present, emptying your mind, absorbing what's going on in the present moment can help you to address sabotaging thoughts and behaviors. Why? Because you begin to reprogram what you are saying to yourself. You quiet your mind. Remember, I talked about the Indian guy. Quiet your mind through breathing and through meditation and through being present. You learn to control what you're focusing on, even if it's whatever is going on around you. You learn to quiet down all the noise and stuff that's happening in your mind. And you also can be more aware of what you're feeling and what you're thinking. And you're able to keep your focus where it needs to be in the moment. I could get distracted right now by a lot of different things, by thinking about what I'm going to do, by thinking about what you're thinking if something happens, thinking if I get stuck. But right now, I'm just thinking about and focused on how I want to impact you, Vic and Rick, the value that I want to give to you, how I want this to be relevant, how I want to hold your attention, how I want this to be clear. That's all that I'm thinking about. And when you do that, you push out those sabotaging thoughts and beliefs without attacking them, right? Without thinking about, oh God, I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that. I don't want to think this. No, you gently push them out by focusing and thinking about something else. Does this make sense? So if you have thoughts like, I always stutter, I always get stuck, this isn't for me, this is not the way I think, you can gently get rid of or replace those thoughts by becoming aware that they're there and then being more present. And I'm going to give you a third one by consciously substituting those thoughts with positive affirmation and self-talk. So we have a series of affirmations and self-talk, and you can make some up yourself. Like, I don't have to rush, like Yvonne said, I don't have to rush. I can take my time and say what I want to say. I don't have to rush. I know that that's a negative, but in this case, it's empowering. I don't have to rush. I can take my time and say what I want to say. And if you don't like that, I don't have to rush. You can eliminate that and just say, you know what? I can take my time and say what I want to say. I'm an amazing speaker. I'm an excellent speaker. You know what? I can take my time and I can say what I want to say. Just by doing that, you empower yourself. So what you're doing is by thinking that and saying that to yourself, you're laying down a new track. You're reprogramming yourself with this new train of thinking that pushes out those sabotaging thoughts. So you don't have to fight with those thoughts. You simply have to be more present, which often means not thinking anything, just empty your mind, just be in the moment. But sometimes it means affirming or saying encouraging things to yourself. Remember to breathe and slow your speech down. So while you're speaking, we call this cognitive breathing space, where when you pause, like I'm pausing right now, I can remind myself, breathe and slow down, right? I pause, breathe, and slow down. You have time to do that. You can do that. I just did it. Breathe and slow down. Just remind myself to breathe and slow down. I can do it. And then I picked right back up where I was. So you have time and space to remind yourself to breathe and slow down. You just have to know that that's what you need to do in the moment. I hope that that makes sense. This is stuff, guys, that you can do. And it's stuff that works. It's stuff that works. The science is there. Just trust the fact that we've done the research. You can do the research. There's plenty of books and workshops and stuff out there. What we're saying 100% works. All you have to do is practice it. Okay, Farouk, Yvonne, any thoughts as we wrap up? One thing that I want to do is, Farouk, if you can go ahead and paste both here and in YouTube, where we're streaming live, the link to our Virtual Speech Masters Club. Guys, this is $120 US dollars for 6 months, right? Divide that out. And you can attend as many sessions as you want. You get our course, actually, you get a bundle of courses. You get us giving you personalized, customized feedback. It's not exactly the same as private coaching, but comes a little close. Just like I did with the young lady that left. Bam, she needed something, and we gave it to her right now. So do these two things. If you do, I promise you, you're going to do better. You can attend every week and you can see your speech improved, and we'll tell you, work on this, focus on this. If you do it, we've seen Yvonne just grow every single week. So attend this. You can join the club and work in the course and on the course, and then start attending later if you want, because you're getting the course, right? You get the course, you get a bundle of courses. So join. You're going to spend that $120 someplace. When we do the coaching, it can cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is. You're going to spend that someplace, but you're going to get it back many times over when your speech improves and you pass that interview, or you show people in meetings that you're able to articulate your thoughts. People are watching you. They are judging you. They're listening to you. And when you articulate well, which you can within a short period of time, you can learn to do that. It's going to help you earn more money. Okay. All right. So Farouk, Yvonne, any thoughts as we wrap up here? Anything that you'd like to share about what we just said?
Yeah, so I would also like to echo what Michael has said, in that by attending the virtual Toastmasters Speakers Club, it is very beneficial, and each week or each time that I attend, I can see myself just growing more in confidence. And I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. You did say Toastmasters, which is how we pattern this. But it's called Speech Masters. But we want you to think of it like, if you want to go to a Toastmasters, which is good, you can do both. Go to Toastmasters and come to Speech Masters, because we're doing some different things, and it's very, very excited, and it's based on a system. And yeah. And so, as you said, you're seeing improvement. We're watching you improve, and we're very, very excited to have you there. It's fun. We have a lot of fun. We laugh. We give each other feedback. It's just great. So thank you, Yvonne, for being here today and for sharing that. Okay, Farouk.
Yeah, not much, Michael. I think you have said most of the stuff. Just as you were mentioning about the speech masters, and I can still remember when we were starting the speech masters, I asked Michael if 120 USD was fine for him, since I really believe that it is worth a lot more than that. So all of that, the whole system, plus you get to meet us every single week, you get to give presentations, you get the feedback, you implement the feedback, you keep improving in every session. And as we were speaking about the topic of focus, so you get to focus on your new speaking style right there. So your mind would be shifting all over the place. You're with people, your mind would think, what is he thinking of me? What is she thinking of me? But you're consciously bringing it towards using your new speaking style, slowing your speech down, modeling, breathing, just as Yvonne was speaking about it. It's a great place to implement and use whatever you have been.
This video got stuck, but I'm going to continue what he was saying. To implement whatever you've been learning in a safe, supportive environment where you get real-time feedback. So we want you to check it out. You can attend one session absolutely free, but remember, you can join and you can get the system and kind of work through that a little bit, but then just start attending the sessions, attend the sessions. And it's one of the best ways for you to put into practice under pressure. Right? You need to put yourself under pressure. Okay, so thank you guys. Yeah, I think Farouk was just having some internet issues, which we all have from time to time. Thank you so much for joining us both here as well as on YouTube. And for those of you who will be watching the replay, we want to thank you too, and we'll make sure that we provide you with some links to get in contact with us. Okay, so Farouk, are you still there?
Yeah, I think my net went off, but I'm
Yeah,
sure that you would have said what I was saying.
I did. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll see you guys. We try to do something live every week, either in Zoom or we use another platform that's a little better for doing webinars, but we use both platforms. We encourage you to join us and to participate, right? We want you to participate, not just watch and listen, which is fine. And we hope to see you in our Speech Masters Club this Saturday. Do it every Saturday, 12 noon Eastern Time, US Eastern Time, 12 noon. And you have the website there. Okay? So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.